Okay, hi everyone. We are here live from Manila, right in the heart of the Century City. That's Century City, right? Yep. And we are actually staying here for a couple of nights because one of our staff, who has been with us for the longest time, and he's getting married, and the whole team is here to attend his wedding. At the same time, we thought it'd be fun actually to do a little bit of Facebook Live since we do it every Friday. About the Manila market, and joining us we have actually invited one of the known experts here, property advisor Eric. Eric will be joining us and sharing about his strategies about investing in Philippines and how the Philippine market is doing. Now, right, I'm going to show you around and give you a little commentary about the place in just a bit. I'm going to turn this camera around. Now, what you see in this building is actually Milano. One of the project by Century. Now, this project was, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years ago. I was here to actually look at this project before it constructed. It's by Versace design and all. You can see that it's nicely done now. Now, previously when I came here, it was all sand and land and construction. Now you can see that the Century Mall is up and it's filled up with buildings and all. So it's got a nice pool. You can see at the far distance, people relaxing by the pool, and we are actually at Nice Bridge, another building. I can't show you; it goes all the way up. And right, so we've got a couple of guys here. We've got Eric, we've got John. Okay, obviously the glare doesn't work. So, and of course we got Lynn here. And if you do not know, Lynn is the one that has been, arranging all these Facebook Live. Now I'm going to turn this camera around, and we're going to spend some time. Okay, just chatting with Eric about the market over here. Right, Eric, maybe you can share with us a bit about the Manila market in the recent years, how it has been doing in terms of growth, in terms of the kind of developments that's going around the city, and a very overview of how's the market like for some of our people. Singaporeans are not necessarily the best folks who are familiar with the Manila market. And we also know that the different countries. Sorry guys, I'm using my phone and I'm trying to stand it. Okay, give me a minute. Right, cool. Okay, different markets does have different challenges and different opportunities, and also inside because of the different price points, different lending situations, it encourages different ways of investing. Right, so maybe after you give us an overview, and we'll go into the details about how you actually can invest and be successful in the Philippines market. Right, over to you.
Yes, I'm glad. Thank you for this opportunity. First of all, the industry in the Philippines, we're proud to let you know that real estate in particular is continuously growing and sustainable, I can say, for the past 5 to 10 years now. It's because primarily, aside from the different developments that you see here, the township developments from key cities in the Philippines, this is one of the factors that continuously sustain the industry of real estate. Now, in terms of buying the market right now, aside from a population of 100 million, wherein 50% of it are the young market, we are in a process where the stage in developments and property and market meet the demands. They're now using the property, renting it out, and using it as a place to stay or for vacation.
You gotta speak to the phone.
Oh yeah. And these are the factors that the demand of properties is meeting so far the supply. Although we're still in the process of continuously developing more projects so that it could meet the ever-growing demand of real estate property buyers and clients as well.
Okay.
Now, if we look at the Philippines on a macro scale in terms of economics, one of the key factors that helped us is among the overseas workers, Filipinos abroad who are working, more than 10 million Filipinos abroad working. They send money here to the Philippines, amounting to last count was accounting billions of remittances coming to the Philippines, where they buy these Filipinos who are buying properties here. They in the Philippines have purchasing power to buy properties. second is the growing BPO industry,
Okay.
the IT sector,
Yes.
where a lot of young professionals are working here in Makati, like here in Makati,
Okay.
and they want a place to stay. They want to have a place to stay that's near their work.
Okay.
It's no longer like they want. The trend now is like they don't want to go very far anymore
Yeah.
to commute.
Okay.
They want something very near.
Okay. Now,
Another sector that's why it's meeting the demand of
Okay.
properties here, and in terms of rental and using, are the expats.
Okay.
These are expats from like Singapore and other countries
mm.
coming here to the Philippines, setting
Yeah.
up setting up their business, expanding their business here in the Philippines.
Okay.
And this gives, of course, these executives are staying in these units.
Okay.
They want something that's near their place, make it more convenient.
Yeah.
So there's a consumption going on right now which steers the demand for Philippine properties.
I see. And do you see that demand, I mean, with the job creation and all that, what is the typical affordability of these people to rent? I mean, typical on the average, an individual working here in the BPO industry, how much do you expect them to be paying on the rent, for the rent on a monthly basis? Can they really afford the price points of the properties that is being constructed at this point in time?
Right at the moment, there are properties that are ready for occupancy.
Yeah.
Wherein they, for a minimum down payment,
Yeah.
and then the balance they can go avail of a bank loan in the Philippines.
Okay.
So these couple or young professionals are able to move into their unit.
Okay.
They might, as a young couple, they could start as one bedroom first.
Okay.
Then after, as the years goes by,
But
they
how
become
about
a family.
renting? How about renting?
Yes, in terms of renting, if these are, for example, at what stage of their employment, let's say at the start, they be renting, and eventually they will be able to buy their own property as their income increases.
Okay. But typically, let's say a couple, how much would they pay on a monthly basis in terms of the rent?
In terms of industry-wide monthly payment, we have like at least between 15,000 pesos a month to 18,000 pesos.
15 to 18, huh?
Yes, that's a
Okay.
one-bedroom unit.
Okay.
Now it depends on the particular location they like.
Okay, and that's talking about
Their
the one
workplace.
bedroom. So, if let's say for Singaporeans, regardless of strategies, and we'll talk about strategies in a while, what kind of properties would you think would have the best balance between rental and growth? Are we talking about one bedder is the best because of the demand? Are we talking about two bedders? Or are we talking about three bedders? In terms of balancing growth as well as rent, because we all know that rental doesn't make you a lot of money. It just helps you to hold the property, and growth is what investors are after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what do you think is a what would you advise?
Based on my experience, the demand for two-bedroom is always high.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
two-bedroom here, particularly because families or probably groups.
Yeah.
Or space, because
Okay.
there are some clients or renters who like to have more space.
Okay.
So two bedroom is fine
Okay.
for a guest, for their family. And
Right.
one bedroom is for professionals, individuals, single,
Yeah.
bachelor.
Yeah.
So it's really a diversified market demand.
But in terms of proportion, because recently, I mean, over the last 5 years, or rather 4 or 5 years ago, we're seeing whereby we see huge supply of very studio, shoebox size kind of apartments, and we're not talking about. And I was certain that I'll be certain that between these one bedders and the two bedders, the proportion is a little bit out of sync in the sense that there are a lot more one bedders than two bedders. So what do you think of that? Because is there that much demand for one bedder, or is just because developers are developing because it's more of the easier sell on the market for people to invest in?
Okay, based on experience, we always follow what we call what is the demand of the market.
Okay.
If you will notice, majority in a floor plan of a particular building or a condo, like here in Century Properties, you will notice there are a lot of one-bedroom units.
Yeah.
Because the market that's what the market demands.
Okay.
As much as we want one floor, two bedrooms, all two bedrooms, and just a few studios, but the market requires more than one bedroom. Because like at least 60%, more than 60%,
Okay.
for one bedroom.
Okay.
And this is based on the demand again of probably young professionals in the market.
Okay.
Remember, we are 100 million population,
Yep.
and 50% of that are the age between 25 to 40.
Okay.
So it's a very young market.
Okay.
These are first-time buyers who just wants to buy a property here,
Yeah.
and then after they got fully paid the unit, they buy another one. And now there's, because of the internet right now, they're now the young market, the millennials we call them, are now very, very aware of the investment and information. They're very aware of all this information of why how they must buy a property while they're still young.
Yeah.
You don't buy a property when you're ready. So
Naturally.
that while they're still young, even if it's one bedroom, it's all right.
Okay. You mentioned earlier on sharing about the strategies that you use
Yes.
to build your own portfolio.
Yes.
And maybe you can share with us as well, because I guess Eric was sharing with me that when he came to Singapore to do some seminars, thing is Singaporeans will be more interested in can I buy 10 units, each one of them putting 10% down, and then take the rest as loan. And he finds that very curious, because that is not what we do. You see, one of the things that we Singaporeans like to do is we take what works for us, and then we go to every country, we expect that to work the same, right? But the reality is that different market calls for different strategies and different assets and different category of properties that you should be buying. So I've asked Eric, see if he can share with us his personal journey in terms of how he invests and why he invests that way in this particular market. Yes.
Thank you, Dan. I had the opportunity last 2013 to be invited at iProperty Expo in Singapore.
iProperty.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was one of the resource speaker for Philippines, and I was representing my company, Century Properties.
Yep.
Now, during that seminar, I was sharing to the Singaporean market about some strategies and why buying branded projects in the Philippines is an advantage to returns. But some of the investors I encountered there would ask me, what if I buy 1 floor, 2 floors? Then I pay a minimum down payment, and then how much?
Sounds very Singaporean.
Very attractive for us. Okay, that's fine. We welcome that.
Yeah.
But the problem is when the unit is turned over. Here's a number of units to pay the balance, because there's a balance, and they'll be expecting the 80% will be paid paid through bank loan here, with immediate rental coming in, and probably sell it at a higher price. So the projection is nice, but in reality, we want to make sure that the investors will really get to have the maximum returns of their investments. So what I advise is personally what I do in my personal life, and how I'm also as an investor.
And maybe before you share with us, let me interject this. I think, guys, one of the things that you guys, people in Singapore like to fall into is there are a lot of gurus out there that tells you that you can before completion you can flip it, you can sell it, and you can take a bank loan and the rental will cover the bank loan. And that's where when you're just listening to a lot of people who are marketing, who just want to sell you 10 properties, who just tell you, hey, why buy one with cash and you're going to buy 10 with the same cash and take a 90% loan. And that is why prudence and research and understanding of the market is key, and that's something that I'm sure you're tired of me saying and repeating this over and over again in every session. But again, it's about due diligence. So yes, Eric, over to you. Share with us what you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also like to share my experience in London, where I also had an encounter with a buyer who bought 1 floor, 2 floors from us.
Yeah. Medical center or here?
Here in Knightsbridge.
Knightsbridge,
yeah.
Wow.
So
okay.
this is the tower I was selling when I was in London, inspired from London, and I was able to buy my own personal unit here.
Okay.
I'm happy to that, and I have to tell you that I was able to fully pay my property, all the properties that I invested.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because a simple strategy is like I buy one property at a time based on what I can afford, based on the cash flow I have. I know some investors have different levels of amounts to invest, but in my case, what I do is I do my best to pay off one property. As soon as that property is fully paid, I get the maximum discount, because while under construction, developer like Century Properties gives a very generous discount.
Yeah.
So I get the maximum discount. Then that's already my profit.
Yeah.
This is the investor doesn't understand at the first. They get a big discount, and then after the property is turned over, when I decide to rent out the property, 100% of that rental goes to my account.
Okay.
It's real cash flow.
Okay.
As Robert Kiyosaki once mentioned, that's really cash flow. I don't pay banks anymore. I have no loans to worry.
Yeah.
And I have no bank loan. I don't rush that. I don't need to have a renter now, and then the next month no renter. I have to pay the bank. That's the problem that happens in the field. So that's what I do. I fully pay the unit. Now, in my meeting with investors, what I say, I tell them, if you instead of buying 3 floors, 5 floors, why don't you buy these several units, fully paid, cash, and we'll give you the best discount. The Century will give the best discount. So that's your returns already, good profit already. Yeah. And then when the properties turn over to you, you have no rush on paying any bank loans. And then here comes the renter, like Milano, for example, or Gramercy. So, they were now enjoying. Even here in Knightsbridge, where it has more than a high occupancy rate now and rental, so no problem. We're even running out of units to rent out. Sometimes.
Really? Oh, okay. So what kind of rental? How long has this property been completed already?
I moved in here last 2014.
Oh, 2014.
So it was turnover at least around between 2012 and 13. 5 years after we launched the project.
I see. Okay. And usually, what was the vacancy rate? Any idea of the vacancy rate in this building?
But like any building, at the first year up to the second year of the building, the vacancy rate is not that. Quite does, a lot of course that's still vacant because it's still being introduced to the market. But give it enough time and momentum to build momentum. Okay. And now I'm proud to tell you, Gramercy and Knightsbridge now are
almost fully
sold out. And
so it took about a year plus to actually get there.
Yes.
Okay.
It takes time, but it's a long term. Like I said, real estate is a long term investment. It's you don't treat real estate like a stock market. You buy now and you try to flip it next year. That's the error that happened.
Exactly. So I mean that's one of the things that a lot of investors get it wrong. Now on the same note, I mean we also when we talk about you paying cash and paying cash upfront and things for the property. Now I'm just wondering what kind of what kind of price range would you recommend that people buy? Because if you ask me to pay cash, you ask me to take loan, I somehow, as any investors. Now, I'm not saying that it's the right thing to do, guys. I'm just saying that tends to be your mentality and our mentality as well, generally. When you can take loan, you are a little bit more easier on the so-called price point. And when you don't want to take loan, when you don't want to take loan or you can't take loan, the immediate question that will come to mind is, how much and what kind of price range I should be targeting? What kind of properties within what kind of price range we should be targeting and to get reasonable rental to have a reasonable chance of appreciation. What were your thoughts about that?
Yes. Okay. First is the renters if we're talking about renters for 1 bedroom, okay, there's always a continuous demand for that. The rates are very competitive, especially in this location, Century City. And then 2 bedrooms, always in demand as well, always occupied, because families are moving. Family members are also with the expats as well. Like you can see them playing around with their kids, and some of the swimming. And these are unseen by the market because they really want something that's convenient, and they don't mind paying extra because their company pays for that.
Okay. That's more expats.
And one more about Philippine properties I'm proud to share is because compared to other Asian countries that an investor would buy, where do I go? Do I invest in Japan? Do I invest in Hong Kong? Why Philippines? Because Philippines, generally speaking, the real estate market here, regardless of the political situation that happened for the past 20 years, it always had a steady growth. Around 7 to 8% conservatively per annum in terms of yields. And rental sustainable because of the huge population, consumer-driven market. And the real estate sector in particular is very healthy, I can say, because more than 50 to 60% of the properties in the Philippines are fully paid. what does it mean when a property are fully paid?
No.
So we are not controlled by the banks.
Yeah.
Unlike other countries where they are 90% are mortgage. So anything happens to the economy, fluctuation, it affects their situation. But in Philippines, if my house is fully paid, so I have no problem. I don't suffer from any fluctuation. My property just goes up and up.
Okay.
Like for example, when I bought my unit, it was like 2.9 million pesos around 3 years ago. Yeah. Today it's around 5 million.
Okay.
If
So
I sell it now,
2.9 million pesos.
yeah.
Then, okay.
Now it's around more than 5 million.
Okay.
That's
And
the value of a fully
when
paid.
you bought the one bedroom.
Yes, that's the value of a one-bedroom fully paid property.
Yeah.
You imagine if I bought several units.
So 2.1 million,
I
that's
could,
about, well, I'm trying to calculate in my mind here, guys. 2.1
more than
million.
50%. Yeah, more than 50%.
No, I'm just trying to convert the sing, sorry. Must be the morning discussions.
About 83,000 based on the current exchange rate.
Based on current exchange, about 83,000. Okay, I mean, if it's about 100,000, so we're saying that, you know, one bedder in the range of about 100,000, and that is probably affordable for us to be able to pay in cash. We get a maximum discounts from the developers. There's a consistent growth, and rental might take a while to fill up, but
During the first 2 years.
yeah, generally it can
just be
deliver
patient
6
enough.
percent or so.
And now we don't have units. We're having problems now. Looking for units to rent
Wow.
out.
Okay. So the basic idea. Whoa.
That's
what
the.
is that?
That's just a siren.
So we are real life here. We're not this real, as you can hear from all the construction noise going around. Now, what is interesting is, I mean, at that price range, you know, most of it is affordable for people to actually pay up cash. Right, John, have you got any questions to ask Eric?
So regarding, you know, as we talk about loans as well as paying cash in Philippines here, what's a typical, let's say for a foreigner to buy in the Philippines, what's the typical bank lending policy here in Philippines in terms of how much can you borrow, what kind of interest rates are we looking at, and what kind of requirements do these banks have for foreign buyers?
At the moment, we're now around bank rates now starts around 5% for a 5-year loan. For a 10-year loan, it's around 6 to 7%. So depending on the years of the loan, granted. And then for foreigners, what I know is that banks now are currently provides around 50% of the loanable amount for foreigners. So that means that you have to pay up 50% of the property in order then the 50% can be put back. And then the requirements are proof of income, your payslip, 3 months payslip, 6-month bank statement.
Right. So they are more likely to lend to people who are holding steady jobs rather than let's say your self-employed or business owners.
Okay. For self-employed, no problem. We have several investors who call it bank statement will do, or name of the company.
Right.
Because they have that one.
Okay. So for them that's fair as well.
Yes. And it's 100% ownership for condominiums.
How about the thing that says that, and I remember there was a recent report that came out talked about, you know, if you want to take a loan, you got to have a partner.
Yes.
Okay, that's the portion if you want to buy a house and land in the Philippines.
Oh, not for apartment. I mean, generally when it goes to.
Are you talking about
the?
He's talking about the under constructions. You need the local agent to authorize.
Okay, that's the special power of attorney, SPA you call it.
Yes.
So if let's say the investor will buy a property and he's not available to visit the Philippines for his unit, you can issue a special power.
Not that. Is that the one? I thought there was one whereby the rule whereby it says like if you want to apply to a bank or a loan, the bank will require that the co-borrower is a Filipino that earns about 30,000 Sing a year, kind of thing.
For condominium purchase, it's 100% ownership. For acquiring land, if you want to buy land, a house and land, you have to either be married to a Filipina to get the citizenship to buy the property, legal, or you partner with a Filipino. You set up a company in the Philippines where 60% is company owned this Filipino partnership. And then the company will now buy the land and the house under the name of the corporation, not under the corporation, which you have sharing individual.
But in which case it's almost a moot point because you know, we're talking about the strategy here is really about paying in cash, and banks are at 9-10% kind of interest rate. Is really not that.
Yeah, sometimes the interest rate is not attractive to
Yeah,
because like in North America it's only 3%, 2%. Here it's 5%. Well, as much as I want the banks to patronize our banks, but the advantage of having have access to credit is much faster in your country. You know, to get more, to settle payments here and lower rates. This is the reason why a lot of investors are paying in cash, because as soon as they get the funds from their country, they pay here.
I see. All right. That concludes our short session with on Facebook Live. Now I'm just going to turn the thing around. Now, guys, you know, thanks for joining us, and thanks Eric for joining us today. We're going to have more in-depth discussion about the market shortly in the aircon segment of this of this building. But then we'll end it right here, and hopefully, if you guys are, you know, have interest and all, just pop the questions onto this video. I mean, on the comments. And what we'll do is that we'll invite Eric to like our page and also join the discussion with you guys to give you any advice that any questions that you might have. Okay. So here's from Manila. Thanks for joining us. Have fun the rest of the afternoon. And hey, it's a Friday, man. We're going for a beer. Okay. Bye.
Bye.